compassion and righteousness mutually exclusive? Let's address that question today. How do you decide which one to choose? The choice between two benevolent characteristics is never easy. In an emotional state, when the focus is only on compassion, then it can blur your vision and take you away from the path of righteousness. Remember, compassion is an emotional, subjective state. Righteousness is an actual, objective state. Since it is objective, righteousness is context dependent on your role. You take on multiple roles each day: the role of a father, a coach, a teacher, a spouse, a son, and so on. The same person you is playing each of these roles. Righteousness varies by the role you take on. As an example, in the role of a father, it is your moral nature to love your son irrespective of the situation. But as a coach and a teacher, your righteousness lies in admonishing your son for his mistakes. Righteousness helps to put on the moral compass. Emotion, though, puts you in a precarious position. Even an intellectually superior person may be unable to see past his or her weakness when overcome with compassion. Mental faculties restrict the ability to think. Take the example of a soldier. While war is not desirable, the soldier has to deal and overcome the emotions to win the war. In the Gita, the warrior Arjuna had access to all the precepts of knowledge that you can think. He had the understanding of divinity from the messages of sage Krishna. He had an active army, and he was surrounded by righteous individuals and forces of might. Yet, confusion still prevailed. The challenge Arjuna faced was whether to show kindness towards his enemies, who were his own cousins, or show righteousness and fight. But if it is righteousness, who defines it? Arjuna's moment of bewilderment showed feelings of fear, anger, and anxiety. Attributes that we all experience and display when faced with a challenge in front of us. Arjuna's compassionate mindset made him think of the consequences of war on the generations to come. Remember, it was a compassionate mindset. Leveraging his intellect of compassion, Arjuna looks at the impact war can have on humanity. He thinks elders do get killed in a war. He worries that the younger generation may become immoral without proper guidance from elders. He believes that families have a hellish situation when a society becomes unethical and immoral. He is positive that atrocities increase and society overall loses respect to each other. And at the end, he thinks it will be the end of human civilization. Arjuna pleads to Krishna, how can we even think of committing a simple sinful act as fighting a war? He says, for the sake of humanity, I would rather be kind and compassionate than righteous. I would rather die than fight. He says to Krishna, let me die. And as you all know, that moment of Arjuna's confusion delivered a gift for all of us. His unique relationship with divinity became the trigger for Krishna to impart the timeless knowledge and instruction that we have in front of us today, the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna has given a path and a framework for righteousness in the Gita. Krishna says, on an absolute path of righteousness, kindness is an ingrained and an embedded component, and you don't need to think about it separately. Remember, being kind alone doesn't necessarily mean you're righteous. Whereas the guidance of Gita is that when you are righteous, you're kind and compassionate. The Krishna-Arjuna relationship raises an important question. Since Arjuna looked at Krishna as a physical form of divinity, and in that sense, Krishna could have easily influenced Arjuna and completely avoided the confusion that Arjuna faced, why go through the entire ordeal of getting into a materialistic logjam and then unwinding from that? As we all know by now, Arjuna's predicament was only a trigger for Krishna to share the ultimate wisdom and define a moral framework. Gita is that moral framework. Gita shows that unconditional surrender alone of performing your action and leaving the outcome is the only way to lead a righteous life. Remember, simple definition of righteousness is unconditional surrender and performing action. Focus is on the responsibility of performing an action. And that responsibility depends on your role. This is what Gita teaches, and of course it teaches a lot more. It's like standing in front of an ocean of pristine, clear water. You would base your intake of water on your needs. Similarly, each person takes what he or she needs from a gospel of Gita. You'd be a blessed soul if you were to absorb the entire knowledge of ocean. However, whether it is righteousness or to absorb the entire knowledge of Gita, you need a special someone. Someone who can lay the path for you based on the tenets of Gita. Someone who can shine a light on the road so that you can walk on it. Someone who can define the components and milestones of that path. My friends, that someone can be an acharya, a guru, and a teacher. Watch the next video to learn more about the difference between acharya, a guru, and a teacher. Till then, stay blessed, and I'll talk to you soon.